You are listening to KCOSdigitalmedia.com. Tonight we're broadcasting to you from the beautiful Open-Minded Gold Room, downtown Colorado Springs, Colorado, and it's time for The Beat Goes On.
Just like every Wednesday, it's great to have everyone here, home, listening, or watching on YouTube. If you know anyone that really should be here, watching, or listening, text them KCOSdigitalmedia.com because we're in for a treat tonight. We've been doing an awful lot of heavier music, but it's always a pleasure to hear a virtuoso in a different style than one is used to hearing, and we're going to talk about a few things around that topic.
Yes, we are.
And
we would like to welcome to the stage KCOS Digital Media presents Mr. Dale J. Miller here at the Gold Room. We are so happy to have you.
For the second time, but not here.
It was in your house the first time.
That's right.
In February. Yes. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
It's such a blessing to have you here.
Likewise. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for taking time out of your
Yes.
schedule,
Yeah.
because as I was talking with Ann, you guys are the most busy at the evening hours, right?
Yes.
It can vary. I've got students coming in the mornings most days of the week too, which is a good thing in this business, believe me.
Well, it's good to be busy, and I know you are, because we want to get to talk about the whole concept. We did, a little bit last time, but yeah, since we already know the preliminaries that we've already discussed, I think that lets us get a little leeway into getting into the deeper, dark secrets of
Your
classical music.
Yes.
So I know that even if they're not here, I know people are listening, because there are an awful lot of classical, Spanish, and flamenco guitarists here in town that I'm sure you might know, but they're in a, as you know, a class by yourselves. And
Indeed.
that level of accomplishment is really
It's
something that we are always enjoying.
Completely highly respected.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. This is great. Appreciate it.
So you're going to start us off with 3 songs.
Yeah, we
This
usually
evening?
do that.
Yes. I thought I'd start off with some really old stuff. Most of it is old stuff, but this is really old. This goes back to about the middle of the 1500s, and it's Spanish music. 2 composers, Mudara and Narvaez. So we're about 1540 here.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna bring the mic closer to you, because you're like me. We have soft-spoken voices.
Right. 2 of them are based on a melody called Guárdame las vacas, or Watch the Cows for Me, Guard the Cows for Me. And they're 2 sets, and they almost sound like different pieces, but would have been variations that Narvaez wrote on this tune. And the third one is called Fantasia by Alonso Mudara.
Beautiful. Thank you. Dale, you're absolutely stunning. You are beautifully stunning, as well as on the outside, or on the inside as well as on the outside.
Thank you, Laura.
And
Well, I
those
gotta
fingers,
say-
my goodness.
You know, we all came together driving in, and we were all hyped up about the day and our lives and the power of music. You, in one song, mellowed me right out.
You did.
Thank you, my friend.
you.
That's,
Thank you.
that's, I mean, that's the impact of music.
Thank
It
you.
really is. You've been offering this gift of music to so many for so long, and everyone who comes away from you either composing, writing, you teach, you're an author, you are so loving and caring and intimate with each student, as in really wanting to get them to understand what they're trying to do on their instrument, and you make that easy. You make it look easy, but you make it easy on the other person who's learning from you. Because if there wasn't you, Dale, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
See, that's the connection and correlation, is that you have had her as a student for I don't know how long, and Lisa too. We miss Lisa tonight, but hopefully she's listening. And, you know, you can always watch the archive on the YouTube channel through the website once again, as many times as you want. But hit subscribe, because we got over 1,100 videos.
The last time Dale was with us was February 14th.
Right.
That was our Valentine's special. Yeah, that was really wonderful. So, and we are blessed to have you back with us today. So,
Thank
I
you,
wanted to.
I am as well, by the way. Thank you.
I'm so glad.
Excuse me.
You're amazing.
Yeah, you know, as usual, you guys have had the relationship for how long?
Do you think it's been?
Is
Oh my
that-
gosh!
is that
That's a great
disclosing-
thing. No, that's a wonderful
Disclosing too
thing.
much
that-
information?
Not at all. No, I'm honored.
I've kind of lost track. Well, it was at least
20?
2003 or
14,
something.
15 years?
I think, yeah.
Okay. It's been a really long time. It's been an incredible time with you. Watching you, you have an incredible business that you've grown. 2 businesses, actually. 3 businesses with doing concerts in your beautiful house that you have on Betty Drive, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Do you know, I wanted to ask you a few questions about how you felt, how it is in the schools, and how it is for teaching outside of possibly Childbloom and the Guitar Center. How do you think our children are faring well in the school system with music today?
Boy, that's a good question, Laura, and I'm not sure I'm very well prepared to comment on that, but I know with the children that I work with, many of them also play in school in the band or the orchestra, you know, perhaps a stringed instrument or a woodwind, and they seem to be really thriving, I think. And how is it overall? I'm a little out of touch because I'm in a private enterprise, you know, and we see so many kids in that age group. 5 to 12 is what we see in the Childbloom program. And we just hope that we're contributing to that and giving kids a really good place to start and a good foundation, and particularly giving young guitarists a good foundation in music at large as well.
Oh,
So
you teach many instruments as well. But talk about that a little later too.
Sure.
But do you feel that? I guess I've heard recently that a lot of music programs are now out of the schools, and you basically kind of have to go to someone to either help teach yourself or teach your children. And it's really hard to know where to go.
Right.
So to take your children to someone you can trust and know that they know what they're talking about to teach your kids.
Right.
Well, now, besides kids, you're, from what I understand, affiliated with Colorado College?
Yes.
See, that's the, I guess, okay, what we're trying to do is, with particularly individuals like yourself that are so immersed in, so many different things in teaching guitar and instrumentation, we just wanted to get all that out so that people will go, wow, this guy, when does he have time to do anything else? But, the difference from, a child, I know some kids, and you hear stories like Joe Bonamassa started playing guitar at 8 years old. Okay, but how does just a regular child bloom? Hey, wasn't that a good catch? From as young as they want to be when they come to you, and then they want to continue, because Laura still takes lessons from you. I mean, lessons should never really stop.
Never.
Well, I don't think any of us are gonna learn as much as we want in a lifetime or many lifetimes. But yes, I think every day is a learning experience for me, because every person is different, and you see some of the same situations, but every time it's a little bit different. So I think as a teacher, you get to test out things all the time and try things from a different angle and solve some of the same problems, or try to solve it a different way. And maybe I missed your question altogether, which I'm good at doing, by the way.
Because then I always interrupt too.
No, it's okay, boys. It's a tough question. It's a really tough question. But how you are a teacher at Colorado College. You
Right.
teach guitar.
Right.
The guitar program there, and your students are exemplary. Everyone who comes from you. How do you feel things are going for you as on the teaching end of Colorado College?
Yes. Well,
And your own, and Childbloom for that
Right.
matter.
I feel that I just have a chance to try to help people. Many times it's trying to help people get a good start to things. I mean, even at Colorado College, a lot of my students are just beginning or have played a few years, and a few of them are very advanced when they come there as well. I think I essentially teach the same fundamentals, no matter who it is. If it's our Childbloom kids, we're starting with the same basic understanding of the mechanics and physicality of playing the guitar, but at a place that's appropriate for them. But with adults, if they're willing, if they'll allow us to get a good start and learn how to develop techniques and skills without developing
And
negative habits.
you really, number one, you really have to have a want.
Whatever you need.
Thank you, Chad. You have to have that want.
Sure.
You have to have that want. You have to have that need to get better. That want
Right.
is in there. But
Right.
as a teacher and teaching all the fundamentals, I think is incredible. And I'll tell you what, you have written an incredible book about the fundamentals, the theory of music. It's called Cordially Yours.
Right.
And I'm looking so forward to buying a new book because mine's fallen apart. I've written in every chapter, written pages on all the pages, so I've messed up. So I just need a new book.
Well, we'll make sure that happens, Laura.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think
appreciate
you're
you
going to have to buy another book.
Oh, you're so sweet. No, but
Okay.
I would buy like 10 of them.
Well,
So that I
nobody's
could-
nobody's book is more dog-eared than Laura's, because she's been through it, scribbled on it, folded it,
I have.
and so that makes me feel good.
So I think this is where I was going when I started rambling about, the age groups. And what we have talked about doing is some community service stuff, because we are a nonprofit, and we want to do masterclass clinics and have a room full of people just looking to get some inspiration, maybe get a quick lesson on something for themselves.
You brought up such an incredible and absolutely incredible. We've been talking about this for a long time.
Yeah.
And we would absolutely love to have you do a clinic for us on, actually you could pick, there's so many different aspects, but you could pick either the fundamental or more into theory or more into counterpoint, and I'm not sure. I'm still at figured bass, so I can't wait for us to get back together on figured bass.
Right,
I'm
right.
excited about that.
Well, I would love to. I'd love to look at that with you guys and see if we can come up with something. Yeah,
That would be awesome.
that would be great.
That would be awesome. And that brings me to, you guys remember when we saw a really incredible, we saw a master class given, you and I, Dale, by Michael Johnson. And I was wondering, you have a song on your list that is called Give Me Wings. And that's one of my favorite songs all time ever. I will never, ever forget that song. But he gave such an incredible class about music and about archetypes. And,
Right.
There was so much to his interview that I wasn't done asking so many questions. And would you be willing to maybe move that song up just a little bit to
Sure.
play for
sure.
us? Oh, I know that's a lot
Well-
to ask. And maybe a heart in New York too, although,
Okay.
Yeah, you don't want her to bring out that little pistol and put a gun to anybody's head.
Lately,
Yeah, lately. I know.
lately it's been interesting.
But this is this is a great segue, because the world, Colorado is a cultural and musical oasis, and next weekend is Guitar Town at Copper Mountain, and it's always free, and it's always like Steve Vai is always there. Tommy Emmanuel is there every once in
Sweet.
a while.
So cool.
And this year, on the I think it's the 12th, Al Demiola is coming,
Oh my goodness.
as well as blues guy Coco Montoya, and so that goes
Incredible.
along with the fundamentals. It just spurs the imagination.
Right,
I
right.
can't even, I'm teaching piano now as well. I can't imagine without the fundamentals. I could not teach. I couldn't teach blind. I could not teach without the information that you have given me to methodically try to learn from and also, teach as well. So
Right, right. Well, thanks again, Laura. I appreciate that. I've always been a big fan of Michael Johnson for several reasons, really. Way back when I was 18 or 19 and I was struggling to figure out how to get through music school, most of us hadn't had much background in those days, And I came across a Michael Johnson album, and he played a Villalobos piece on his album while he was doing all his vocals, and I thought, this is the guy for me. And my point is that the classical guitar is very versatile for other things as
It
well.
really
So
is.
hopefully I can prove that point here.
Yeah, in between
You prove it
songs.
every time.
I mean, that's the great thing is so we're actually doing kind of a prototype, feeling out what we should be approaching, I guess, for a master clinic. And
Definitely.
you're the test case.
You really are.
We couldn't pick anyone better.
Wow.
I would.
Thank you.
We would love to have you.
Well,
So,
I would love to be a part of that.
and
So,
we have folks in the audience that say you're the best. Which
some of them are a little.
sweet
Wow.
lady.
Yeah, and just because it's classical music doesn't mean that you can't clap and hoot and holler and, because
I'm so glad, because woo, yeah. Yes, he does. He is multi-talented.
well, we have a guy from Canyon City that I don't know if he's checked in already, but Roger Pennington from
Hey,
the band The
Roger.
Foggiest Notion, he loves to watch the Facebook Live, and his favorite job is let's talk more music. But that's what I'm saying.
We agree with
You are
him.
a wealth of information that I can't possibly hurry you through a bunch of songs without a lot of conversation.
Sure.
You know what? And I think the world deserves to hear this conversation. Because more people don't. There's a lot of things that go on stage, and at all these clubs, and people come and play, and you go to lessons, and you do the rote thing every day in your regular life. But you know what? If I would have comprehended everything 25 years ago before I got to meet you, before I got to be with you, I would be at a different place right now. If I would have, I only wish to God that everyone could understand and comprehend the things that you're saying now, before it's too late.
Well, thanks again, Lord. And
It's never too late, really, because we've
Right,
had
right.
some examples that just have blown me away. There was one guy who was playing at the Triple Nickel down the street, and he did not start playing guitar until he was 56 years old, and then turned into a touring blues musician.
Woo, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
no, stories like this are everywhere,
That's exciting.
But yeah, don't let me stop you from
It's actually
playing.
really cool.
Like I say, we're Heckle and Jekyll tonight,
And I'm sorry if I moved around your song list.
it's okay. I don't always mix vocals in with these things, but then again, I sometimes just get requests and I go ahead and sing anyway. So,
Yay! Thank you
Anyway.
so much.
well, I'll give it a shot. This is a song I learned from Michael Johnson. So,
Aww.
he asked her, "What gifts can I bring you to prove that my love for you is true?" He said, "I'll make you mine forever, and there's nothing on this earth I would not do." She put her arms around him, said, "I know you mean well, but there's lessons I must learn for myself. So if you love me, give me wings. Don't be afraid if I fly. Bird in a cage will forget how to sing. So if you love me, give me wings." He walked over to the window, silently stared into space. He said, "I'm just trying to protect you, 'cause this world is a dangerous place." She put her arms around him, said, "I know trust me? Give me wings. Don't be afraid if I fly. Bird in a cage will forget how to sing. So if you love me, give me wings. She said up above the clouds, you can see forever. And I know you and I can learn to fly together. So if you love me, give me wings. Don't be afraid if I fly. Bird in a cage will forget how to sing. So if you love me, give me wings. If you really love me, give me wings. Give me wings. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I wish I wrote that song, but I
You
just do my best to do it.
Brought tears to my eyes.
Yeah. All for good reason.
So would you be willing to do a Heart in New York just for me to?
I'd be glad to.
second one.
Again, this is not one of my tunes. It's one of my favorites, and I've never been to New York City, but
I spent 4 hours in New York City. That's about all I can
Did
handle.
you? Ah, the airport.
I'm an LA kind of guy.
I bet it does grow on you. New York.
Yeah,
bet it
no,
does.
I grew up in summers in LA, and I'm perfectly comfortable in LA, but New York City, nah, it's kind of a little shaky for me.
It is. New York is definitely a different world. You know, speaking of KCOS digitalmedia.com, we are live in over 200 countries, and we have a lot of folks that come back to us, and it's really exciting. I want to thank the Gold Room for such an incredible place for The Beat Goes On to listen to Colorado's incredible, talented, original music.
Yep, we do this every Wednesday. Our Facebook calendar is full until November and December. We have a couple dates left in each, but we do this every week. Whether you come down or you watch or you listen, that's the purpose. You know, we want to make music accessible to everybody that might not necessarily, you know, they're doing dinner with the kids or can't get a babysitter, or even
you
though
can
most of our
always come
shows
here.
are kid-friendly, you know.
We do. We have. They're incredible. We have our incredible kids that usually come. A whole bunch with Logan and Sydney Rain and Penny's daughter. I'm trying to remember her. I think her name is Rainey. She's pretty incredible. Got some incredible kids that come to our shows as well. And some of the bands let them get up on stage and play some sticks together, play some cowbell. It's a lot of fun. So it's a pretty easygoing place. So God bless the Gold Room. Thank you for being here for all of us.
And if you're hungry, you can order food from the incredible Springs Orleans right across the alley. They'll bring it right to your table. Right. Nicole is the hostess with the mostest at the bar.
Our gorgeous, gorgeous hostess with the mostest.
And once again, we have to say thank you to Hex Audio Visual and Chad Martin for the sound.
Yes, definitely. He's always amazing. He makes us sound good. He makes, even though you already sound good.
no, I'm with you. It's when you have somebody doing that end of things, that's
Makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what we would do without our Chad.
I mean-
He's amazing.
I mean, for me, just moving these things around when you're sitting here. It's just forget it, you know. It's the most awkward thing in the world, you know.
It is. Until the red light of the recording room goes on, then it's kind of okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, this is one of my favorite tunes. I heard Art Garfunkel do this in concert right here in Pikes Peak Center, and I was so glad it was on his show. And this is supposed to substitute for a saxophone solo. So, and these things are very dangerous too. It all comes down to, yeah.
So you never had the big braces with the hardware, huh?
Well,
No,
not
I'm
yet.
just teasing.
It all comes down to the wing nuts. You hope they hold up, you know. Yeah. New York, to that town skyline I come, flying in from London to your door. New York, looking down on Central Park, where they say you should not wander after dark. New York, like a scene from some old movie, but you're real enough to me. But there's a heart that lives in New York. A heart in New York, a rose on the street. I write my songs to that city heartbeat. A heart in New York, a love in her eye. No open doors or a friend for the night. New York, you got money on your mind, and my words won't make a dime's worth of difference. So here's to you, New York. New York, now my plane is touching down. There's a heart that lives in New York. So here's to you, New York. very much. Thank you so much.
I got to admit, I'm a little bit off, when I talk about New York City the way I do, because I'm from Niagara Falls. I was born in Niagara Falls, New York, and 9 times out of 10, when I find someone from New York City and I say that, they go, "Oh, that's upstate. Doesn't count." So it's like, okay,
Really?
I don't really care. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, really? Yeah. That's that New York state of mind. What song is that?
Billy Joel.
Yeah, but I mean,
Very good.
my favorite version, look it up. John McLaughlin does an amazing version from his album called Electric Guitarist.
Huh.
Yeah, Google it.
I've never heard that one.
Yeah, I
it's
haven't either.
amazing.
We'll have to go
But
hear
this
it.
was amazing too. I mean,
It's
just
beautiful.
the voicing is just,
Thank you.
I couldn't get any more mellow.
So you are so multi-talented. Not only do you play the classical guitar, you play the violin, you play the banjo, mandolin, ukulele,
Wow.
harmonica.
Right.
You sing so beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
I could go on.
Wow.
We could go on and on and on.
So what happened when I was looking at, populating the event page like we always do, you just got through doing a summer camp for, what was it? How many weeks did you do that
Is
summer
it
camp?
6?
Well, this summer we offered a startup program for kids for the Childbloom program where they could come in for 2 weeks, 5 days a week, and just take a lesson every day and practice a little bit. And at the end of 2 weeks, they would really have
2 weeks.
2 weeks straight through. And
Okay, 4 sessions of 2 weeks. Wow.
yeah,
And when they come out, what are they playing? What are
well,
they?
I mean, each kid would just go for 2 weeks, and we had those segments set up. But they got pretty well through our first phase of Childbloom, which is no small task. If you're
Not at all.
7, 8,
Would
five,
you be interested in telling us a little bit about your Childbloom program?
Sure.
Okay, that'd be great.
Well, Childbloom is basically a program for kids to learn music through the guitar for ages 5 to 12. And it was developed and invented by a guy named Kevin Taylor, who began this in 1980 and saw that there was really very little material or curriculum or even, methods of teaching
The
guitar
young
to
ones.
children.
Right.
And so he studied many things, including Suzuki violin and lots of child psychology and lots of music, and developed a terrific curriculum that is progressive and kid-friendly, and it teaches children to listen to other parts and rhythms and be able to put them together at a very early start. And the thing that we don't do is have them start learning chords right away. They
Right.
play melodic ideas, and they have a small class of 2 to 4 kids. And so they begin immediately playing separate melodic and rhythmic parts together. So they become very good at playing in the ensemble,
Yes.
whatever it might be.
Right.
And there'll be as many as 4, sometimes 5 different parts that they will learn. And then their classmates and their teacher will play all of these at the same time. So they also learn to play completely solo guitar like I'm doing.
Yes.
And a lot of it is classical music, but a lot of it is written especially for the kids. It's got wonderful titles and a great progression of skill, and it's really fun for them.
One of the ones I remember is La Folia.
La Folia is in the
Yes.
first first phase.
And you know what I would really love to learn is, you know, when we went down and we spoke with Kevin, they played A Simple Gift.
Yes.
Kids played.
Right.
It was absolutely stunning.
Right.
My jaw was, I couldn't
Right.
pick up my jaw off the floor watching these children play, how good they were.
Right. Right.
So he's, and you have the true ability to get the kids to understand the counterpoint of, you know, each part
Right.
that they take.
Well, thank you, Laura. Laura worked with me for quite a while in the Childbloom program and taught in it as well.
So she's living proof that the next progression from the Childbloom program is the School of Rock, right?
Well,
Yeah.
we kind of right now, to be honest, we're kind of hoping that I would like to see the kids. Now, granted, I teach my Crazy Train Ozzy Osbourne to any one of my children who want to learn it, and we do a pretty good job at it. But I really do see the absolute the bigness of being able to teach your children how to play and how to understand the guitar. I really believe in the Childbloom program.
Oh, thank you, Laura.
And I think that before they ever even think about playing Ozzy Osbourne, they better get in there and play La Folia before they can think they can play Ozzy too.
Well,
I was just
so
making a
no,
joke.
you are
really.
right. But
well,
But, you know, I
later
know,
on, maybe.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know a lot of people in Denver that I'm going to give a shout out to Paul and Jessica Rogowski of Mojo Music Academy up in Longmont. Paul is a
guys.
graduate of Berkeley,
Mm-hmm.
so I know, you know, he's one of the guys that I want to do a master clinic because he and Glenn Tapia of various blues bands in the Denver area, they do the Rocky Mountain Bass Slam.
right.
And it's an eye opener. We went to the last one, and they'd have, you know, a pair of bass players feeding off each other.
Wow.
You know, and it was just a great 4 hours of entertainment. You know, 20-minute sets. But that's what they do to, you know, raise money for the Academy, and then we also support the Blue Star Connection, which is a model that's, you know, from the Blues Foundation, and it's passed on. And Lisa is even doing it basically with Mountain Kids Music. You know, it's a fully transferable curriculum, if you will.
Yeah. Well, we fully expect our kids to begin to branch out about that time that they're approaching their teenage years. And our goal is to give them great skills and good musicianship and good musical understanding.
You know, when I first came to you, I sat down in the chair and I brought out my brand new Dean Hardtail, gorgeous electric guitar. Dale, teach me how to play rock and roll. Please teach me rock and roll. I want to be a rock and roll rock star. So you sat down and you said, look, that's not going to happen that way. It doesn't happen that way. You need, you know, if you would like to go this route, I can teach you so much more, which will take you right into that rock and roll. Right. And you did that very thing. So I can play any rock and roll song. But you know what I still have a hard time playing? Classical, which I want to come back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or I haven't seen you in a little while because I've had some family emergencies.
Right.
But I'm coming back, and I can't wait to do so because it all comes back around to what you do on your guitar.
Well,
So
I'm looking forward to that, Laura. So
finger exercises are probably the most challenging for, you know, her little mitts, right?
Actually, you'd be surprised because
I would like to be, yeah. I mean, I always get surprised. Every week I get surprised.
If it wasn't for Dale,
Yeah.
I would not be able to play guitar today because I do have really small hands. You can have small hands, you can have large hands, large fingers, thick fingers, small fingers, teeny fingers, baby fingers, 5-year-old fingers, 80-year-old fingers, like that fingers. You can have all kinds, and Dale will get you through it.
So how about at the top? This is the top of the hour already. How do people get a hold of you?
Well,
To
yeah.
Your website,
Okay.
signing up for the programs that you
Sure, sure.
have.
Well,
Come on over.
Come on up, man.
I would like to.
I do know where I live. I can find my way home, but yeah.
Hey, I
I'm not so
can't
good
do
with the
things
website
without my
stuff.
counterpart.
This is my fiance, Ann Easton.
Yes, and can I absolutely say I'm really super excited because I'm the one who introduced you,
It's
and
true.
you didn't tell me you wanted to put a ring on it. So you didn't tell me that. Congratulations to you on August 18th of this year. You guys are getting married. I'm so excited.
Yes, thank you.
Yay! Yay!
So back to the question of how to get a hold of Dale.
Yes.
Dale is, being a classical guitarist, should have been born in the 1600s
Yes.
because
should've.
technology is not his thing.
Correct.
Okay,
And I agree with them.
that's just not what he's going to
Sorry.
do. So his website is dalejmiller.com. Very, very straightforward. That's for his adult side and the venue. And then the Childbloom program is childbloomguitar.com.
So for the Dale J. Miller Studies of Guitar, where is that located? How can we get in touch with Dale to
Both facilities share one building. It's 3617 Betty Drive, Suites D&E, both in one door.
yeah.
And the phone number is 719-573-0575. And we'll be glad to talk with you guys.
That's
Absolutely.
awesome.
We also have a Facebook page, dalejmiller.com. dalejmiller.com, because there is another Dale Miller out in the world somewhere. And then the Childbloom is just a Childbloom at Colorado Springs. So we have both of those going.
So is it childbloom of ColoradoSprings.com? Or what is yours?
For the Facebook page, yeah, I think that's what it is.
Okay, great. Okay. Well, I'm so blessed to have you here too. Thank you for being here, my girl.
Thank you.
And
I'm going to hand this back.
that's okay. I'll hand you mine.
Well, okay. So this is, yeah.
Would you be okay with maybe staying up here with us for the rest of the show? Right on. I would love it. I would absolutely love
Yeah,
it.
she's tired of sitting next to me, I know.
No, I'm not. I love my Mark White. You know, we have an incredible team. Without this team, none of us would be here today. And I have to say thank you so much to everything that you have done. And to my cohorts, Mr. Shadowman, and Mr. Nathan Lear, and Miss Lisa Carnes. I don't know what we would do without all of each other. We're pretty much an incredible tight team that gets through all kinds of hurdles to make all of this happen, and it does, and it keeps going, and so we're going to keep it going as long as possible.
Yeah, we're in our third year.
Yeah,
So,
Colorado talent.
and this is the point of the show, once again, halfway through, where I always say, Dale, say hello to the 250 people who might have been watching some part or all, or on the Facebook Live. That's just one of our metrics. But
Well, hi, everybody, and thanks for tuning in here. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Ooh.
I hope the phone rings off the hook tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely. And
So-
just like Roger says,
More music.
more music, my dear.
And promise we'll let them go through like 2 or 3 in a row.
Promise.
Okay.
Promise. You got it.
Yeah, I
I'd
got to go
love
back in that trance state because I was so relaxed.
However, I'd really like to come back to that question that or the topic that we were talking about, as far as playing we were talking about playing guitar in long periods and possibly sitting in the ways that you have taught me to be able to play, to be able to long periods of time, but in one sitting. But also we were talking about the way you've taught the positions, you've taught the leverage of helping you do what you do, and leverage of helping the students overcome some things. And
So,
I'd like
do you have a footrest like Dale does?
I do.
Wow.
I do. I have quite a few of them. And every time my child comes in, a child comes in to Miss Laura to play Crazy Train or anything, rock and roll, but I teach them what I learned. So that is handed down. But I always tell them it's from my classical guitar instructor, Mr. Dale J. Miller. And I'll always tell them that that's who has taught me all of this incredible information. So,
Well,
and
thanks.
it works.
This way of holding a guitar really doesn't tire you out. I think sometimes it's perceived as something very rigid and stiff, but that's not it. I often take naps, like this. Or it's a great thing to play chess with. You just forget it's there. And I really can be like this for great long periods at a time without.
And it creates advantages for you to play your harmonica, for you to sing, for you to do so much more, and you don't even look at that guitar anymore.
Well,
I've noticed that you don't look at your guitar and play anymore. I mean, you play, but you don't look at it.
well,
It's incredible.
not all the time. That's right.
So
But
we'd like to definitely, your next set of tunes starts out with a studio
Okay. Yeah.
brillante.
Yes. This is called a Studio Brillante. It's by a French violinist of about 1820s, and Francisco Tarraga changed it to a guitar solo in about the 1890s. And so that's the first one on there.
Yes,
Should I do all three of them right now?
I would love it. I would love it. Absolutely. I bet Roger's yelling at us, but I would absolutely love to hear
Well,
three in a row.
the second one is called Venezuelan Waltz number 4, and that's written by Antonio Loro, early 1900s approximately. And the third one is called Campanas del Alba, or the Bells of the Morning.
Beautiful.
And that was written probably about the 1920s or 30s too, by Eduardo Sainz de la Masa.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You know, you make it look so easy. I know when I started playing cello in the 5th grade, I just couldn't do the positioning right because it was the late 60s and I wanted to play like Jack Bruce.
Sure.
So what I did is I'd always tilt the cello and, you know, play it like
Right.
that. and you know, it didn't come until a long time later, and I actually have a lot of respect now for this one individual that who was always wanting to be the anti-guitar god, and that's Dave Mustaine from Megadeth. His most coherent and beautiful piece of advice ever is, if you can't play it on an acoustic guitar, don't even try playing it on an electric guitar.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's hard for
Right,
me because I have one hand that I agree with and the other hand, but we'll talk about that.
Well, but that's the difference. People pick up things. Don't you notice in your teaching that people are more receptive in different ways than you expect?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
If
Right.
they're a little more open to it as
Right.
well.
Right.
Because a lot of times they want to go straight to that electric guitar,
Right.
like me. I'm
Eh,
the prime
well,
example. You know?
So tell us about your instruments.
Well, I'm playing 2 guitars that are made by my friend Randy Reynolds right here in Colorado Springs. And he's talking about stepping down from guitar building after a very successful run, and I can't quite imagine it, but we'll see what he really does. But these are 2 of his guitars, and
They're stunning.
this one here is a flamenco guitar, and this one is a classical. I mean, they're very similar, but little different voice. The flamenco it's very lightweight. It's made of Spanish cypress and spruce, and this classical is made of East Indian rosewood and cedar. So they have a little bit of a different voice. It's always a tough call to which one to play.
Right?
I mean, generally you would, go more of the Spanish and flamenco here and classical and Baroque here, but I'm not really that scientific about it. I just enjoy playing them both, and I pretty much play everything I play.
Randy should make a
It
special
is.
model for
Signature
you.
model, yeah.
Oh my God, he has. That's it.
Well,
The first one is,
Yeah.
we call it the Sig 1. That is the Dale J. Miller guitar.
That's incredible.
It-
Now
it-
Randy's gonna have to make that one for me too. Then the Dale J. Miller.
it helps
signal.
to know the guitar builder, and
It does.
nudge him every so often. And
Oh, I
Well,
know.
and-
I've been in his shop. It's beautiful.
We support Colorado businesses, so
Right,
yeah,
right. Well-
that's really
yeah,
wow.
Jerry has one of Randy's
Randy Reynolds.
that I know a lot of people would like to steal. So
Oh man.
myself included.
Always. Come on up. Come on up to the table, my dear. Come on up. Let's talk about that.
No.
Yes, yes.
I just know these guys from the 80s, and they're the best guitar players.
and the
Best. I actually picked Doug up in a bar, bring him home for my husband to play guitar with. And we've
Aw.
been friends since.
that's
And
fabulous.
that's 80s. And
Absolutely.
Dale was part of the band.
Dale,
and
tell us about your
So-
band with everyone.
Yeah, so that's
Tell us
the
about how I met
Juniper.
you.
Well, many years ago, when I finished at University of New Mexico, which took me a while, I took off with Doug Zen and Mary Gunther, who at that time, and then she married Doug, and we formed a band back in '79. And then we had a fourth guy, Mary's brother, and somehow we managed to survive for about 4 years. And
That's
I think
wonderful.
too that some of us have been around long enough to remember those days when bands could play 5 and 6 nights a week, and
Yes.
I don't think that happens these days so
No.
much. But at that time, we kind of lucked out and kind of survived, I guess. And
It's
So-
changed so much. Music has changed so much. You can record your own album in your own basement.
right,
Although where that goes, you could play in your own basement forever
right.
if you let yourself. But I don't want to see that happen to people. I want to see them get out on stage and doing everything that you're doing.
Thanks.
You know?
So what's your schedule for the foreseeable future? Are you doing recitals? You having special guests? Because I know you do that. Your calendar is on your Facebook page, right?
It's hopefully, or it will be soon. We do have a concert coming up August 24th. It's actually for ukulele. Victor and Penny are going to come and do a concert with us, and they're fairly well known in the ukulele world, and that'll be fun. And then in September, we've got some people coming in, Jim Bossie's people.
Yeah.
From where?
Well, caught me at a moment when I can't quite say. There's a couple of guitarists coming from South America that are going to be playing with Jim Bossy at our place.
Right. In
And-
September, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sorry I don't have this right in the front of my mind at the
I don't
moment.
either. And then in October, we'll have the kids' recitals, the third week in October, the Childbloom recitals, and we'll have some other things sprinkled in that I don't know about yet. So we have lots of fun.
Well,
There's all kinds of things going on. So, I want to get back to a question or a topic. You had mentioned about, well, I mentioned leverage, but you had taught me leverage. And for anyone who's listening out there who plays electric down to their bones, like Metallica, I mean, as far as your arms can reach, I don't know how the boys do it. I do not know how they do it. The only way I can do it is the way you taught me, the way I play. So can you expound a little bit more on that leverage? Leverage?
well, I was very fortunate to have the teachers that I did, and most of the technique that I really practice and teach was taught to me by Ricardo Isnaola right up here in Denver. And he's in a very elite circle of guitarists in the entire world.
He
And
is.
his practice approach and technical approach is called Catharologus. And there's nothing else like it.
No, there is not.
It's not really a method book. He says it's a system for developing the gymnastics or athletic skills that's needed to do this, to train the mechanisms to do what you want to do. And on the cover of it, it says technical workout for all guitars. And I really don't stop and think about style that much. I mean, yes, predominantly I play classical guitar, but I mostly look at musical situations and try to figure out, well, what do you need to get that accomplished, or to get that facility to do that, or adapt to it. And I always point to that word all with my students because they have many goals or directions they want to go. And often people are very afraid of that word classical. And if it's taught right, it should not make a person rigid. I mean, if that happens because of what I'm teaching you, I've done something wrong. And I also believe that reading music and improvisation don't have to be polar opposites either. I think that's another fear that people hold is you have one or the other. And
How do normally people, when they first look at a piece of music, a piece of sheet music, whether for whether you have a bunch of different parts or whether you have just one part, how do your people react? How do your students react to that?
I guess that would depend on their level of experience too. I mean, in many cases, I'm just introducing people to this side of music and saying, look, it's going to be a good thing if you open up and let yourself learn to read music. That doesn't mean that you can't improvise or step away from the page altogether. And I like to be free from the page when I'm playing like this.
Yes.
But I also appreciate the details and the voicings that go into written music. And I wish I was more spontaneous on an improvisatory side as well.
So would you like to expand on that with your lessons at the studio? Is that something that you're going to begin to expand your horizons on teaching?
We're taking a look at an experiment to change let's go to a weekly lesson kind of model to a lesson where you can come in and do what we call a guided practice and actually have more opportunity to actually learn besides just the once a week model. And we're just putting that in place, and we're kind of excited about it because we're thinking there are some people who don't practice and they use their lesson as practice time. So if they had a guided practice scheduled in, that gives them the chance to actually develop their skill set before they come in and have to learn something new.
So when you do guided practice, what exactly does that mean?
Like Anne said, we're still kind of trying to work this out. I keep saying that the old paradigm of coming in once a week, just it's the best we've got so far, but it's not that great, really. Knowing human nature, we all struggle with practicing. We all struggle with what appears to be the dry or the technical or the things that don't seem to be related to what we want to do. But it's just like athletics. You can't go out and play college football, without the physical training, to do it, or gymnastics. I mean, why should this be any different? And
what we're trying to do is allow people just to come in without a guitar, come in and sit down and just practice without having to, have all the setup. They can come right after work, or they can come at any time and just pick up their lesson and then practice right there without having to lug everything with them and worry about that. So, yeah.
I mean, we will set
That's
up
part of it.
a guitar. One of our thoughts too is just that people from work and daily tasks or shopping, it's really difficult to carry one of these around with you and feel secure, leaving it in your car. And plus it takes time. So our thought is schedule a time to just come in, sit down, it's waiting for you, and we run through possibly the technical exercises because it's difficult for people to want to sit down and do that.
It is. It's overwhelming.
Yeah. And just break it down into one or two objectives and help move through those things. So that's part of what we try to do anyway.
That is awesome.
So does anyone come into your studio and specifically request that you teach them pieces from the different periods, the Baroque period, all through, the Renaissance and Reformation, where music was really, the beautiful aspects of, unamplified, beautiful, okay, so I grew up with Jethro Tull, and one of my favorite things was I go, wow, that Bourrée, what the heck's Bourrée? I had no idea.
You can play it, the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
That's what opened my eyes to music.
Yeah. Well, I think it did me too, because I was discovering that piece about the same time too.
I think you gave me a copy of foray, and I
Did
still
I?
have that.
Okay.
Like 20 years later.
I'm not sure if I've answered one question you guys have put up tonight. Maybe I'm not very.
There is one student that came in and wanted to learn something specific, and that was Chuck Cabell. Do you want to talk about that for a second?
Oh yeah. Mark,
General.
and I hope I'm not getting away from your question here.
No,
I
no.
will
I
get
mean,
back to it.
just the absence of an answer is an answer. I mean, really,
I'm good at that
because-
one. Just kind of blank look.
She's a kick, girl.
Well, I mean, I
love
see.
you.
That's it. We're all musical.
See, as a
and-
teacher, this is one of the things that I just don't talk soon enough. Takes a while, and my students are sitting there, well, what's next, and
There's so much
getting
to
to
it.
that, yeah.
Right.
So-
there really is.
I'll work on getting to it quicker here.
Especially translating pieces from viola, violin to
Right. Right.
guitar. I mean, that's
Does that too.
that's not easy at all.
Right.
He writes pieces of music. We did an ensemble group, which you do. You hold ensemble groups, which I really want to be in the next one.
Good.
I think Miss Lisa does too.
Good.
But when you play your ensembles, you situate like 6 parts for all the people or more. I mean, you're absolutely amazing. And that's really hard to do when you see all the different pieces and staff, all the different clefs, for although we're treble for guitar, of course.
Right.
But I mean,
Right.
when you're transposing,
Right.
for all the guitar players to be able to play.
Well, I think the guitar as an ensemble is growing all the time. The first example that we probably saw here was the Romeros, going back quite a ways, and now the LA Guitar Quartet is probably the one that would set the standard in that area. But it's taught in colleges and so forth, and there's more repertoire being written, but a lot of it is taken from other sources. And I have used Vivaldi a great deal, Boccherini, the chamber music of the Baroque and the early classical small orchestral things can work well. But the problem is with guitar ensemble is that you don't have as much range as a full string section. So getting to the very high places becomes a issue of sometimes practicality. And so those are factors that enter into a good arrangement of something that was already an orchestral or string quartet or small Baroque chamber orchestra type thing. But if you can get a good balance and be reasonably true to the situation, it's great.
It
The
is.
guitar ensemble is like a string quartet. It's got this blended sound, and
Beautiful.
so I typically like being a solo player. I mean, if you just gave me a choice, but I've had to teach ensemble for all the years I've been in Colorado College, and it makes you stop and think and try to come up with solutions and innovative things. And so you learn while you're doing it too.
And you have, and I tell you, you write the most beautiful music on these beautiful large pieces of canvas. You write your music out on the staff music. It looks like a beautiful,
It's a piece of art.
it truly is. And I need one of those in my living room. So,
So
if anybody, you have one? Oh yeah, okay. So there's 3 already. The man's not busy enough that
Well,
he has to do art
If
for
there's
all of us too.
if there's really a market for it, I'll be glad to do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
I
Let's create a market.
I call
It's
it-
stunning.
I call it accidental art because it was purely a function of practicality for me. I mean, I've talked about reading music, but I really think too, another thing that guitar players very rarely experience is what your hand on the page is. I really think if I could find a guitar player that would write on a paper, I don't know if I could get one to do it, even if I handed him a $20 bill. Guitar player, no. But it's a great experience to have hand on the paper and
It
and
is.
see the ideas there.
Rather
And
than the computer, rather
Well,
than
Yeah, I know that I never caught up to that one either, but I still am doing it the old-fashioned way, and my students very often protest because I use
There,
one of these, and I know it's gonna catch me one of these days, but I just haven't quite gotten on board with many things.
there's an incredible connection between your brain and your hand and what you write, and how you learn and how it transfers down
I think
into,
so.
a deeper level of understanding. And if people will do that, they have a different level of knowledge about how you write music and how you play music and how it goes together. And that it's really an amazing piece.
crap versus technology. Excellent, excellent. That's well said.
See, and that's why I brought up beret. That was one of the first things that I knew was like that was not meant to be in rock music.
Definitely not.
So, since you ripped off the first few measures of beret, we actually have a request if you feel like wanting to do that for a special friend of ours.
Okay.
The request was for Cavatina.
Oh, that's a gorgeous piece. I do not know that one, and I'm sorry. That's a great piece of music.
Well, then maybe Ray needs to come up and do that.
Well, then, well,
Okay. Well, but and that's it. That was a lead.
no doubt
into
Dale will prepare it.
our new friend Ray, who
Hi, Ray.
who is
Come on over, Ray.
I remember, yes. I do.
Come on over, Ray. Come and talk to us for a quick sec.
Before the
Please.
show, Dale was talking about how he went right to the source and got a cup of espresso instead of
I do remember.
drinking a
It's
whole
good to
cup of
see ya.
coffee and making a quick run at break time. But Ray just took over Good Karma in Manitou, the
Woohoo.
coffee shop. And
So I would love to have you at Good Karma Cafe and play on a Sunday morning or on a Saturday morning.
That's
Whatever you want to play.
That sounds great.
And Cavatina will be a challenge
Okay.
for you.
It's a
and
very
me.
challenging piece.
And it's interesting because I have been following Randy Reynolds, and Andy Bennett
Yes,
works
of
for
course.
him.
Yeah.
And I just recently requested Andy, since Randy is retiring. I want some of that legacy to be transferred
Right.
for my use of a wonderful guitar from Colorado and those wonderful luthiers that we have here.
Right.
People don't understand what's happening here.
Right.
So I had a great teacher, and it's called Herman, my dad.
oh,
That didn't know music. I don't know any music, but you're gonna teach it to me. But
He does.
once I finish and once Andy finished the guitar, we'll get together. But I would love to have you at Good Karma Cafe and play how many pieces you want.
Well, that would be just fine with me. I love playing in that sort of situation.
Dale,
Just keep my coffee cup filled, and I'll be happy.
that's right.
We have a
He
great
plays
audience.
everywhere.
We have I have a setup that is basically a music art setup for everything that is related to art. So I would love to have you over.
Well, I would love to be there.
So
And I do remember,
I know you.
I would not have been able to recognize you over there in the shade, but
I know.
I do.
I know. So you will see Pascal now that it's 21, and he's a great artist. So I know we'll catch up and
Good.
That
Good.
sounds.
give squishy hugs.
Aw, squishy hugs, amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
down
You're
for it.
amazing.
So if Cavatina is not in your repertoire, why don't you do something that it's yours?
All right.
Funny you mentioned that.
Right.
The next set is 3 Dale Miller songs.
Voila.
Woohoo! Voila. We'd love to hear that.
But yeah, I got to say,
Thanks, Ray.
we just became acquainted with Ray because Good Karma had a unfortunate bit of bad karma, but it's good now because Ray's there. And the
We're
family
so
is
happy you're
the family
there,
is so
Ray.
accommodating and everything's so nice. And yeah, they do have a great crowd. If you don't mind me saying, Unlocked, the band, is playing there August 10th and August 24th. And that includes Michael Reese and Bryant Jones, two of the West Side, well, in Colorado. Michael Reese is very well known.
Very much.
And Bryant Jones is very well known for his piano. Yeah. Yeah, see, we're all cousins somehow, right?
We're all cousins. Our musical outlet here in Colorado Springs, there isn't a whole lot. So Mr. Mark White created KCOS Digital Media, along with Shadow Man, Lisa Carnes, myself, and Nathan Lear. We've got a good thing going for our Colorado beautiful, incredible, talented artists, bar none. I don't believe I have any other state that I'm listening to their music. But you got to go to KCOSdigitalmedia.com and listen to all of Colorado's music 24/7, including Mr. Dale J. Miller.
Absolutely. Now, I would love to hear those original compositions. Right now. Right now.
Thank you.
Yesterday. No.
This
Yeah, you got like
kept
20
talking.
minutes left. So we've been having great conversation. I mean,
Incredible conversation.
This is the stuff that, we're
This is
thinking
what-
about the master clinic concept.
Yeah.
And, instead of having 300 people online, I mean, I'd love to have a room full with their guitars and you leading them through some things.
And we will. We will. We'll all be here listening to you and your amazing, all the information and all the incredible theory that you have to offer that goes right to the application of the guitar, which takes you to a whole nother realm of, like a whole nother universe. So I live in that universe every day.
Right.
And I listen to you telling me, when you go and brush your teeth, or when you go take the trash out, or when you're like driving home, your mom's driving you home and you're going from this place to another, and think about the key of C. Try to in your mind, because as much as you can do it as much as you want to do it on the guitar, if you do it in your mind first, it can all come to you. So you've taught me so much. I don't know what to tell you. You keep teaching me all the time, and you keep staying in my mind. So I will start being quiet and let you play.
No, thank you, Laura. This first song is called Micaiah's Lullaby. It was written in 1981, and I was in the band that you were talking to me about, and it goes back so far because people were still, you were still smoking in every place. I mean, that's how far back it goes. But anyway, end of the night, we were finishing up, and I was at the edge of the stage, and I looked over, and there was a booth right next to the stage, and this little girl had fallen asleep, and she was 7. And I just thought it was a tough place for a kid to end up. It wasn't a bad place, but it was late. And so anyway, this is called Micaiah's Lullaby. I should have checked that since 1981, I think. Whew. Anyway. Thank you. Thank you. This next one is called Next Time Around. Thank you. Thank you. This one is called A View of the Valley, and it's for the Shenandoah Mountains.
How's your fingers?
Oh, they're fine. I just,
They're not
you
bleeding
know,
yet?
the memory sometimes isn't so good, you know.
Oh, man, there's none of us here that are like, well, what's the matter here? I mean, this is beautiful. I mean,
Thank you.
And really, we're at this point of the show that you've got, some standards that you got another set to do. And really, I want to hear Malagueña y Milagro. Yeah, let's wrap
Sure.
this up. And it's been 2 hours already.
We basically, since we're lucky enough to own the station, and Don Zamora is a bit long, I would love to hear it. Let's keep going. Let's go as long as you are comfortable with.
Oh, it's
Are you okay
not
with
a
that?
problem. I just mean, you just tell me. All right.
We could, you took a very hard day and made the end of this day be so beautiful and so loving and so comforting. You're so comforting. I would love to get some CDs from you, especially the odds and angels.
Yeah.
I would enjoy that so much. By the end of my days, I'm so tied up sometimes, as we can get in this life. But
Right.
thank you for making this such an incredible, special, comforting evening with the beauty
it's-
of you.
My pleasure, and thank you all for having me too, and for joining us tonight. And everybody listening, thank you again for your time and attention. Thank you.
So you play as long as you want to.
All right.
Anytime we can entertain 500 people, Dale,
We're good to go.
we're good.
Yes.
It's fine with me. This next piece, if it's Don Zamora, was written by my friend Charles Eastman Weaver, who basically introduced me to flamenco, which is still a great mystery to me in many ways. But he was a character. He's passed away in 2010. But he had a varied life. He was a Marine in the Korean War. He was on a cultural exchange with the Soviet Union back in 1960, and he was a folk singer and a cop, a police artist. He wound his way into Spain in the early 60s and stayed there and studied flamenco, and he was a real bohemian. And so that's where he got his start in flamenco. And this Don Zamora was actually written, he tells me, when he was in Jerusalem, and he had gone there in 67 to join up with the Israelis. I mean, he was quite an adventurer, and that didn't work out. I think it was age, something or other. But he ended up staying in Jerusalem and opening a Mexican restaurant.
Wow.
And so this piece, not only is it flamenco, but it also is imitating the sounds of the call to prayer from the Muslims and just the whole backdrop. And again, I've never gone to New York City, and I haven't been there either. But so I'll do my best to get that picture across. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So you have one more on
Sure.
your list. I would love, only if you're still up for it. It's totally up to you.
He hasn't played 6 hours yet. He can do it.
I do kind of like to do that, but I won't do that to you tonight.
Well, I want to be there when you play. Okay, well, I'll be there to support you.
Well, thank you all once again. The last one on my list for tonight is a tune written by a jazz pianist, Dave Grusin. But there's not a bad part to that. Just a but. It's from the movie The Milagro Beanfield War, and if you've been in New Mexico, or Ann and I both have. Ann grew up there, and the movie's great, and the music's great, and this is called Milagro. Well, thank you all once again. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm going to sleep tonight for sure. It's like, you want to drive home?
I'll drive home, but what's going to be on my mind for the next 3 hours?
I
I
We're
can't
always
imagine.
So pumped up after a great show, and
Yes.
they've all been great shows. We play such a diverse genre of music. This has just been refreshing, and
Stunning.
just like Laura said, I had that kind of day, and thank you, Dale,
Well,
for coming.
my pleasure,
Thank you.
and thank you all. The very same back at you. It's been a
Yeah.
great evening for me. Thanks for bringing me on.
Well, and don't forget to reach out to Dale and Ann
Please.
for
Please.
anything, instruction or recital, even just to sit and listen at your studio. And when you do that, the events that you do.
Yes.
This, who else really does this in town? You know, I can name of two, but you're the master, man.
Wow.
You are the master.
You know, Wayne Hammerstedt, I got to say, he does classical,
Right.
and
He does.
Ryan Flores does. He doesn't call it flamenco or Spanish, but
Right.
he's got a great twist on it. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, maybe a triple bill with you guys would be more than appropriate sometime.
Wow,
Thank you.
what an incredible idea.
Oh, I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
If we could stick to that,
But you know, I got to say, and it's a good thing that, yeah, we do own the station, so we can do this. But I mean, this is going to go on archive, and we're always surprised how much more follow-on views and excitement it generates. And yeah, we definitely want to keep working with you guys on whatever projects we can accomplish. I got to say one more thing too. We did Insomnia Stock at Rock Sports Bar and Grill last weekend, and it was a benefit in part for Mountain Kids Music. But Friday night was a long night, and Shadow Man saved the day on Saturday because we were like, you know, long nights at our age.
yes. Shadowman and Lisa.
But yeah.
Thank you. I'm sorry, honey.
Oh no, how much do we owe you, brother?
Yeah.
You're invaluable. And last but not least, we always want to mention our friends, Brian and Marty Hall at
Always. We love you
helpautism.org.
guys.
And that's another thing that, you know, we'd like to, we are going to pursue doing a music therapy program for autistic kids.
Mm-hmm.
And we would love to have your input.
Wow,
And,
that would be
any
incredible.
participation.
Wow, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
So the family
A lot of
keeps
good
growing.
things. Yes.
Mr. Ray, thank you for coming down. And
Yes, definitely.
oh man, this is what we do every week.
Good karma, baby.
Yep. And Shadow Man always takes it away.
What an amazing session of The Beat Goes On. If you enjoyed this show as much as I did, I'd encourage you to go to Colorado Music Network on YouTube and share the heck out of it. Share it with all your friends and family, and that way everybody gets to have as much fun as we did. Man, this was awesome. Amazing show. And you know, you can hear Dale J. Miller right here on KCOSdigitalmedia.com 24/7, all Colorado music. We're going to be back here again next Wednesday. We'll see you then. Same time, same place. KCOSdigitalmedia.com.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.